Here is your homework checklist for week 7. I want to go over this with you carefully because this is a little bit different this week. We will not be reading from Omnivore's Dilemma this week. We will just be reading 2 different articles. One article is Don't Blame the Eater, and this is going to be the midterm reading, and then Food Marketing and Labeling, which is going to give you some more background information for your research paper. So what should you do first? First, you should watch this video I created, and it's called How to Organize an Essay from a Question. It talks about, so on the midterm, for example, you're going to have a question. This is called a prompt, right? The last paper we did, I gave you a question, and you had to answer that question in the form of an essay. So this talks about how to write a thesis from the question, and also how to write your own question, because when you're writing a research paper, it's a little different. You are actually coming up with a topic on your own, and you're coming up with a question yourself, and you need to make sure that you have a good question, that the question will allow you to develop the ideas into 4 or 5 pages, that you'll have enough evidence from that question, and that you'll be able to organize your essay around that question. So this is a really helpful video, I hope. And there's also a Google Doc that is on this page. So if you click this, you'll see the video here, and you can see the doc here. And when you click on the doc, you should be able to make comments. So how about, let me just make sure, anyone with a link can comment. So if there's anything that's unclear about this, please just highlight whatever you see that's unclear and leave me a comment on the side. Can you explain this? Anything that you want me to clarify for you, you can comment on this doc and I will get back to you about that. So this is a good tool to help you prepare for your midterm writing. Your midterm will be in class next week. It will be 2 hours. I can only tell you that it's going to be about this essay and article, Don't Blame the Eater by David Zinczenko. It's related to what we've been talking about in class. And you're only going to be referencing his article. You're going to respond to his ideas in this article. You're not going to bring up the Omnivore's Dilemma. Also, you cannot have any notes. You can't bring in annotations on the article. I will give you a clean article for you to use in class. However, I would like for you to discuss his ideas in the forum. So right here, where it says discuss the midterm. I need to update this, sorry. Anyways, so you can talk about your thoughts, ideas, compare with each other, agree, disagree, clarify, whatever you need to do so that you feel prepared to write about this article. So do that before Wednesday. And there's this food marketing and labeling article by John Hopkins, and I'd like for you to read that. This will give you some background about food marketing and labeling, which is your topic for your research paper. And as we said, this is too broad for your homework. You are going to you're going to come up with a question, narrow down your research question, and come up with a thesis. So that's the last part of your homework. This pre-writing activity should be placed into your Google folder. You're going to make a new folder on Google Drive, share it with all of your teammates, share it with me. Everything you guys are doing for your research paper, your group research paper, should be put into that folder. So make sure you guys create your folder. You're going to open the pre-writing activity, and you're going to make a copy of it because you can't write directly on it. This is just a template. I can write on it because I created it, but you can't. So you're going to go make a copy of it. You can say Team Fingers Pre-Writing. That's one group's name, okay? Because everyone has a group name, right? So when you make a copy of it, then you want to organize it, right? Move it to your group's folder, organize. Here is my research folder, and then I move it. So that way it will be accessible to all of your teammates. Everyone who you've shared that folder with should be able to write on this document, and I will be able to see it as well. So share it with each other, share it with me. Then let's take a look at what this is asking you to do. So you're completing the first 3 steps of the research process together as a team this week. After you read the Hopkins article, you can also refer to chapters 7, 8, and 9, where Paulin talks about a little bit about food marketing. He talks about adding value. He talks about marketing techniques for deceiving consumers. So I want you guys to come up with a research question. And then I want you to determine if it's broad or focused. Mention a couple of essays that we've read that can answer this question. And then I want you to narrow down your research question. And then finally, and this can be group work, right? Everybody is coming up with different ideas for a more focused question. Here in step 1, you're coming up with a broad question, something that interests you. Do you want to compare labeling practices? Do you want to look at marketing techniques? Do you want to look at the effects of marketing and in high schools or for teenagers, marketing effects for children, um, how labels deceive consumers? It's totally up to you, but you need to make sure that you narrow down your question and that it's doable in a 4 to 5 page paper. I told you guys last week it would be a cause and effect paper, but I changed my mind. I decided that for a research paper, you're not given this specific question. You're coming up with a question yourself, and I want you guys to practice doing that as a group. Coming up with a question, narrowing down the question until you can come up with a thesis. I think it's really good practice. So you can make it a cause and effect structured question. You can make it a problem solution. You can make it an argument, compare, contrast, based on what you see in the video, right? You want to organize it around those different structures. And what's next? So then you need to complete this part, step 3, where you're determining your topic, organizational focus, audience, and purpose. This is really important because without answering these questions, it's not really clear, how you're going to go about organizing the paper. It's just a preliminary step to getting you set and prepared to start your research. The first question, what is going to be the topic? What are some subtopics? How might you break down this topic? What kind of body paragraphs might you have? What is the main organization going to be? What kind of information do you need to research, right? These are just brainstorming. We're going to the library the week after spring break, so you need to know what you need to look for before we go to the library. And importantly, what is the purpose of this paper, right? We talked about Paulin's purpose today in class. Why is he writing this? He wanted to persuade us. He wanted to inform us. He wanted us to make better decisions, right? What is your purpose in writing your paper? And who is it intended for? Who is the audience? Do you want to write it to Laney students, Americans, to journalists, to the food industry, educators, right? Think about who your audience is because that's going to shape the writing a lot as well. So complete this. This is your first group task. It's due next Wednesday. And make sure it's in your folder entitled. And I think that about does it for this week. If you have any questions about the midterm next week or the group research paper, let me know, and I will see you guys soon.